Jamaica, welcome to a brand new weekly series, In the Shadow of the Chief. Over the next few weeks, we are embarking on a definitive historical countdown, unraveling the complex legacies of the 9 unique individuals who have held the absolute highest office in independent Jamaica. We will examine their genius, confront their deepest flaws, and expose the high-stakes political chess matches that shaped our modern nation. And in true narrative fashion, we are saving the absolute beginning for our grand finale, culminating with the legendary chief himself, Sir Alexander Bustamante, Jamaica's first Prime Minister. But today, we start with a riddle. How do you entirely reshape the trajectory of a newborn nation in less than 2 months? How does a man work himself to death for a country, leaving behind an indelible blueprint, only to become a forgotten premier? This is Chapter 1. The 47-day architect, Sir Donald Sangster.
Is the fact that we still face the problem of violence and violent attitudes in certain parts of the country. How do you propose to deal with it?
I can only say thanks to all the people of Jamaica, because not only the voters, but a great number of people who are not voters helped to make our victory possible. I foreshadowed it because I said we would get 33 seats, and I think the final count is going to be 33 or maybe 34. And I want to thank them very much for the support they have given me and the party in this campaign. And I'd like to congratulate all the candidates who have won on both sides, and to say to the losers, well, better luck next time. As far as policies are concerned, broadly we will try to continue to the path that has been hewn by Sir Alexander Bustamante over the years. Of course, the modern life and the changing world requires that there will be some changes in that policy of one kind or another. But if there have to be changes, then we will do them rationally and smoothly.
This is the story of Sir Donald Burns Sangster, Jamaica's second Prime Minister. He officially held the highest office in the land for exactly 47 days in the spring of 1967. Yet, to understand how a man could reshape a newly independent nation in less than 2 months, we have to look past the briefness of his title and peer into the quiet machinery of his brilliance and the profound personal sacrifice that defined his life. History often fixes its gaze on the giants who occupied the stage for decades. The charismatic orators, the revolutionary firebrands, and the long-reigning architects of nations. But sometimes, the most profound pivot points in a country's trajectory are engineered by those who operate in the shadows, leaving an indelible mark in a mere blink of historical time. To understand the intrigue of Sangster's 47-day premiership, one must first understand the towering shadow under which he worked. Jamaica achieved independence from Great Britain in 1962 under the leadership of Sir Alexander Bustamante, a larger-than-life, fiercely charismatic Labour leader who dominated the nation's political psyche. Bustamante was the emotional heartbeat of the Jamaica Labour Party. Sangster was its brain. While Bustamante captured the crowds, Sangster, a meticulous solicitor from St. Elizabeth who entered politics at the raw age of 21, quietly built the framework of the modern Jamaican state. As Minister of Finance and Deputy Prime Minister, he did the heavy lifting that a new nation required to survive on the global stage. Sangster was a master strategist who successfully guided Jamaica into the United Nations, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, anchoring a young post-colonial economy in international legitimacy. He was the mastermind behind Jamaica 300 in 1955, a massive celebration of 3 centuries of Jamaican history that catalyzed the island's modern cultural identity long before the world knew reggae or global tourism. When Bustamante fell ill in 1964 and withdrew from public life, it was Sangster who stepped into the breach as acting Prime Minister. For 3 years, he governed without the absolute authority of the title, balancing the fragile egos of a young cabinet and maintaining stability while the old chief remained the nominal leader. Sangster's entry into politics was not an accident. It was woven into his family DNA. He was born in Black River, St. Elizabeth, to William Burns Sangster, a land surveyor and planter, and Cassandra Plummer. His mother was an avid intellectual who fiercely pushed her children's education, ensuring Donald was equipped for the highest echelons of professional life. But the real political spark came from his uncle, Peter Watt Sangster. In the 1920s and 1930s, long before Jamaica had political parties or universal adult suffrage, his uncle belonged to a brave, small group of Jamaican-born legislators who openly challenged the absolute supremacy of British colonial governors. Donald grew up watching his family treat public service not as a way to get rich, but as a battlefield for self-governance. One of the most fascinating personal details about Donald Sangster, and one that set him apart from nearly all of his contemporaries, is that he never married and had no children. In the mid-20th century Caribbean, politicians routinely leveraged large, highly visible families to project a relatable, patriarchal image to the electorate. Bustamante had his iconic partnership with Lady Gladys. The Manley family was a dynasty. Sangster stood entirely alone. He was a lifelong bachelor. Contemporaries and historians noted that Sangster's personal life was essentially non-existent because he chose to be married strictly to the state. He didn't retreat to a family home at the end of a grueling day. He went right back to his briefs, budgets, and files. Because he lacked a family to ground him in the public eye, he filled his rare moments of downtime with an electric mix of intense personal hobbies. He was an incredibly versatile sportsman in his youth at Monroe College, competing in football, athletics, gymnastics, and boxing. Later in life, he even captained the St. Elizabeth Parish cricket team and was deeply involved in international scouting, treating the mentorship of young Jamaican boys as a surrogate family structure. On February 21, 1967, the JLP won the general election. On February 23, Donald Sangster was sworn in as the official Prime Minister of Jamaica in his own right. The shadow era was over. His time had come. What followed was a masterclass in compressed technocratic execution. Sangster knew Jamaica was at a volatile crossroads. The euphoria of 1962's independence was fading, replaced by the harsh realities of global markets, Cold War geopolitics, and deep domestic inequality. He approached the office not as a politician hunting for applause, but as a surgeon fixing a system. He once said, and I quote, "Power is like fire, a good servant, but a bad master, and the misuse of power is one of the greatest faults of any government. Indeed, it is a crime against the people." End of quote. During his lightning-fast tenure, Sangster focused with singular intensity on two fronts: macroeconomic defense and infrastructural independence. He concurrently held the portfolios of Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, and Minister of Defense. He worked around the clock, drafting a revolutionary national budget designed to aggressively fund public education, expand social welfare, and break the island's dependency on foreign financial administrators. Crucially, he recognized that Jamaica's economic future relied on global connectivity. He fought fiercely for the development and modernization of the international airport in Montego Bay, an infrastructural gamble at the time that would ultimately transform Jamaica into a global tourism powerhouse. The tragedy of Donald Sangster is that he quite literally worked himself to death for his country. A human being can only sustain that level of crushing, solitary pressure for so long before the biological clock runs out. Weeks into his official term, having chaired only a single cabinet meeting while putting the finishing touches on his highly anticipated first budget speech, Sangster suffered a catastrophic, severe brain bleed. The relentless pressure of managing a transitioning nation alone, combined with decades of tireless public service, had exacted the ultimate physical toll. The government plunged into an architectural panic. The United States government flew a specialized medical team to assist, and Sangster was transported to the Montreal Neurological Institute in Canada. As he lay in a deepening coma, fighting for his life, Queen Elizabeth II knighted him. Because he lacked an immediate nuclear family, there was no spouse or child to sit by his bedside. Instead, his final moments were populated by political colleagues, diplomats, and international medical teams. On April 11, 1967, just 47 days after taking the oath of office, Sir Donald Sangster passed away. He remains the only Jamaican Prime Minister to die in office. He was a man who lived in public service, collapsed under the weight of it, and died surrounded by the machinery of the state he sacrificed everything to build. If you visit Jamaica today, Sangster's presence is impossible to miss, even if his name is sometimes obscured by the passage of time. Located in Montego Bay is the Sangster International Airport. It is the busiest airport in Jamaica and the primary gateway for millions of visitors feeding the nation's economy. His face adorns a banknote, sharing the honor alongside his successor, Hugh Shearer. Fiscal framework, international alignments, and budgetary disciplines he enacted kept Jamaica steady during the turbulent global economic shocks of the 1970s. Sangster proved that leadership is not measured by the length of a term, but by the depth of its foundation. He lacked the fiery rhetoric of the leaders who came before and after him, but he possessed the rare intellectual foresight required to turn a map of a new country into a functioning reality. In just 47 days as king and a lifetime as the architect behind the throne, he quietly ensured that independent Jamaica would not just survive, but thrive. Next week, we will look at the reluctant successor and the cauldron of the late 60s. When Sangster died, the nation was thrown into an immediate backroom chess match. The man who emerged was Hugh Lawson Shearer. He was young, handsome, and fiercely intelligent, But he was caught in an impossible vice. He had to follow the technocratic brilliance of Sangster and the mythic shadow of Bustamante, all while Jamaica's post-independence honeymoon era abruptly ended. Join me next week when we will look at the reluctant successor, Hugh Shearer, in our ongoing series, In the Shadow of the Chief. Throughout this series, we will uncover the untold historical narratives of all of Jamaica's prime ministers, examining both their crowning achievements and their profound flaws. Our journey will ultimately culminate with the chief himself, Sir Alexander Bustamante, Jamaica's first prime minister and the foundational architecture of the nation. Until next week, dear Jamaica, we need to talk. See you then.
Dear Jamaica,
Here we call,
one people, one nation,
standing tall,
under God.
strong and free,
Jamaica,
the land we love.